Welcome to the Dairy News and Views podcast, a production of the Iowa State University Extension and Outreach Dairy Team. Our podcast covers current educational, research, and industry tools available for your operation to manage healthy cows and calves while producing the highest quality dairy products.
Thanks for joining us today on Dairy News and Views from ISU Dairy Team. I'm Jen Bentley, Northeast Iowa Dairy Field Specialist, and today I'm here with my Extension Dairy colleagues, State Extension Specialist Dr. Gail Carpenter, Northeast and Southeast Dairy Field Specialist Larry Tranel, and Northwest Iowa Dairy Field Specialist Fred Hall, as we visit about some upcoming programming happening in the next couple of weeks that we wanted to get out to our listeners. And so thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Always happy to be here, especially when we get to talk about the cool stuff that's coming up.
Yep, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I know this is always a busy time of year for us as Extension Field Specialists because we like to develop programs and deliver them out in this time of year when maybe producers aren't quite as busy as they are in other times of the months. But there are a lot of great programs that we've developed. Some are new and some are more of an annual program. So we're going to kick it off with Fred. You've got a new program coming up, the Urban Cow Program. So why don't you talk a little bit about what this is and what your plans are with it?
Very good. You know, when we look at the ag census and our own census that we did 5 years ago, there's a large segment of people who indicate they milk less than 10 cows. And the fact is, whether you call them niche or micro dairies, most of our programming is for larger commercial dairies. And so I mold that concept. What can we do for these micro dairies, whether they're just starting because of changes in laws, or whether they just have always milked a cow or two. They tend to get a lot of information from Facebook and some of the sources that necessarily don't have much basis in fact. So we put this program together. It'll start this evening, as a matter of fact. We thought we were going to start in December, but Mother Nature winterized that day and we didn't get to host it. So we're starting tonight talking about goals and resources. Why does a family want to have a couple of cows? Is it to give the kids the 4-H experience? Is it so they know how their milk is produced? And then that's the goal. But what resources do they need? A lot of times these folks have not cared for livestock, so they really don't know what resources go into it. On the 23rd, we're going to talk about the asset needs, land, housing, facilities, milking equipment, and the obvious big ones are time and labor requirements. So we'll spend 90 minutes going over that. February 13th, we'll talk about animal husbandry. You know, those folks in this group and listening, they've probably had cows around since they could walk, and they understand husbandry. And the fact is, these new small micro producers, this may be their first experience to an animal of any size, especially one that requires stability, that maybe the dog or cat in the house don't absolutely need. On March 6th, we're going to talk about sanitation. It's another one of those topics that if you grow up washing milk buckets, washing the tank, taking care of the pipeline in the barn, keeping it clean, it's almost ingrained in you. But if it's new, they don't always understand. One of my first experiences with one of these small dairies was she was using hair shampoo to wash the buckets. And I said, do you realize there's a lot of oil in that? And that contributes to the biofilm. That's a problem. You need different detergents. So anyway, we're going to talk about sanitation. And on April 3rd, the fun one, We've got a master cheesemaker coming in who's going to go to the kitchen in the facility and make cheese without the $1 million with the stainless steel that cheese plants have. It's going to work right out of the sink and the refrigerator and the crock pot, and hopefully we'll wind up with some mozzarella cheese for these folks. So we're excited about it. They can go to our website, sign up. They can come to all the programs, or they can come to one that really has piqued their interest. So I'm kind of excited and looking forward to the first program tonight.
I'll take any cheese that you have left over when you're done.
I don't know if that'll make it very far out of the room or not.
Yeah, those cheese making workshops, but they sure seem to be a highlight though. So it's kudos for doing it.
So I guess speaking of reaching diverse audiences, we're also going to be doing some education around dairy goats as well this upcoming year. We have been hosting a dairy goat webinar series the last couple of years. And so we have a new list of topics for 2025. This is part of a grant that we're working with, supported by the Sustainable Ag Systems Project grant with the USDA. So it's a multi-state grant working with the ISU Vet College and a lot of different collaborators and partners. Really cool grants when you consider the overall scope of the work that it's going to do. But the first webinar that we're going to host coming up on January 15th is dairy goat profit analysis. So Larry, you're going to be our first presenter for the series. Any information you want to share on that portion of it?
Because it's it's been a long time since we did any financial analysis in the dairy goat industry, and so it's probably been close to about 15 to 18 years since we've actually done the last analysis. And this analysis is actually done in both the Iowa and the Wisconsin dairy goat industries, and so the cross comparison, and just I think the thing that I really like about sharing the information is just a lot of producers have a lot of different things in their mind about what profitability really is, and so I think it's important just to kind of realize, how do you really take a look at profitability, because there's a lot of even dairy profit circles around the country that look at profitability in a lot of different ways, some correct and some not so correct. And so I just kind of want to share the process of how you look at profitability and kind of using some dairy goat real numbers to actually go through the process.
Yeah, and through this grant, Larry, we're also going to be kind of expanding on that dairy goat profit analysis as we travel to some of those higher inventory of dairy goats, right? We're going to be traveling to California and some of those southern states collecting information about dairy goat profit analysis on different farms.
And so by the end of next year, we should have it's not too far-fetched to have the analysis done on 40 to 50 goat farms around the country, which is getting to be kind of a nice little base analysis.
So I'll include the link for the Dairy Goat webinar series in case anybody's interested in learning more about that webinar series or know of somebody that is interested in this topic so they can get signed up. Once you sign up for the one webinar, you'll be included in all the upcoming webinars coming up throughout the year. So I think, Fred, you're up next for the next program that you're hosting is the weather webinar. You want to talk about that?
You bet. Each year in January, we have a climatologist. This year it's Dr. Dennis Toddy, director of the Climate Hub there in Ames, and he'll talk about what this upcoming season looks like. Talk about some of the shifts and trends that are truly changing from what we grew up with as far as seasonality looks like. It really is an opportunity for both dairy producers and folks who produce forage to maybe get a handle on, is there something we need to look at because we expect this season to maybe look different than last season did. Dennis is a real down-to-earth kind of a person, so he speaks in language that we all understand, and he's phenomenal when questions come in to put them in a realistic perspective so he can actually answer questions. Always well received every year. That's coming up on January 22nd. It's over the noon hour, so grab your lunch and sit down and listen to what Dr. Toddy has to say. Then we'll move on to a program in March, March 25th. We are part of the I-29 Moo University Consortium, and we host the Dairy Beef Shortcourse. I believe this is the 15th year. It's arguably the longest running and largest dairy beef event in the country. It'll be held at the Denny Sanford Premier Center in Sioux Falls, South Dakota during the Central Plains Dairy Expo. I think we've got a fantastic battery of presenters this year. We'll be talking about some brand new research that Iowa State has completed, taking calves from baby calves all the way up to when they go into the harvest center. So we're excited to look at that data. We've got Jennifer Spencer from Texas A&M, who's kind of has the background in vaccination management. She's going to talk to us on that. We've got Melanie Concepcion, who's going to go over the economics of these dairy beef crosses in the feedlot. Michigan State's completed a pretty extensive study on that, some interesting information. And then over the last 3 years, one of the biggest evaluation responses is lameness in the feedlot, especially with these crossbreds. So we've got Sarah Erickson, she's out of Canada, who's going to give her insight on hoof-related lameness that she's seen and some of the research that's been done on that. Kind of a new item this year. We've always had a good Q&A session after the morning presenters and the afternoon presenters. But this year, our MC, who will also moderate the Q&A, is Taylor Leach. She's an assistant editor with Dairy Herd Management. Most folks will recognize her from that, or if they do any showing, they've seen her in the ring. The herd's been very prominent in both Holsteins and Jerseys. Some folks may remember about 4 years ago when they're from Linwood, Kansas, and there was a tornado went through and leveled their dairy barn, and they've rebuilt it, and now very much into modern technology. So we're excited to have her as our MC this year. Registration is available by going to our website, going to the I-29 Moo University website, clicking on the icon and get registered. The program is the 25th of March, and then our deadline to register is March 14th.
Thanks, Fred. And it looks like I was just looking at the agenda here that we have our very own Gail Carpenter on the agenda. So Gail, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we're excited. Fred mentioned that we're going to be talking about some of the research we've been working on here at Iowa State. So longtime fans of the podcast and our webinar series might know that we've been doing some of these lifetime studies with beef dairy crosses. My grad student, Taylor, formerly Clip, now Taylor Koch, she got married this past summer and graduated and is moved back closer to home, but she did a lot of the pre-weaning work. That was her master's thesis that she defended a few months back. And finally, we have, as of December, we finished all those animals on that project. So I've been telling folks for a while, stay tuned to learn more about the lifetime outcomes. And now is your chance. Hot off the press. We're going to be talking about some of the results that we found with that project. So I'll be talking about some of the pre-weaning work that we did, and then Garland Dahlke, one of our beef specialists here at Iowa State, is going to be talking about the lessons that we learned from the finish side of it. So be sure to come to that to learn more.
Kind of help put it in perspective. This isn't academic research. This is research that feedlot operators will be able to use to put profitability in these crossbred cattle, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is academic research. Hopefully I still get to publish it. But it is very unique in that it was designed by a team of folks in Extension, and so we designed this project very much with what are the lessons that we can learn for both folks who are selling dairy calves and folks who are finishing these calves out in the feedlot or these steers out in the feedlot. We really wanted to make sure that we got some applied knowledge out of this, and that could be directly translated back to producers and help producers with raising a more profitable animal.
Well, it sounds like everybody has a busy plate or has a full plate in the next couple of months, right? Anything else you want to add?
Well, I always tell people, first quarter of the year is our busiest. So we're very busy with Extension. This is also, we're prepping for Dairy Challenge this time of year. So that I feel like I do, I don't know, maybe half of my job in the first quarter of the year.
I appreciate everybody being on the call this morning and giving us an update on some upcoming events. I think as listeners are tuning into this, if you catch it after these programs have happened and you want to reach out, we can certainly get you the resources to some of these programs. I know a lot of these are recorded and archived on our YouTube channel. So that's a good way to go back and review some of them. Some of them are more ongoing, so we may repeat them or host them again. So if you weren't able to catch them the first time, maybe you can catch them another time. As always, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions you might have. So again, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to visiting with you on the next Dairy News and Views from ISU.
This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or combination inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/diversity/ext.